9.
10.
Is your fan on?
Nope.
Okay, ready? I messed this up. Yizzo! That was a different note and everything. Can we do this again? Ready?
Stop it? What?
Yeah, stop it. How I usually say that? Yizzo! Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, press. 1,
2,
3,
4,
5,
6,
7,
8,
9,
10.
Yizzo! Come on, Shanti.
Yes, that was just so beautiful to my ears that I really,
Whatever.
for real, I didn't want to listen to myself.
No. Hi. Hello, Queen.
How are you doing? It looks nice and sunny where you are.
Yes, it is. I'm actually in LA visiting Renee.
Do your updates
AKA
first.
owned by Femme. Because I don't even know if people know her name. We were walking today and this girl was like, and Renee was like, hello. She was just like, oh my God, I follow you on IG. Can I take a picture? Oh my God. And was all hype. And she was like, I'm in the neighborhood. But yes, I'm visiting her. She bought a beautiful house in LA. It could not be more Renee. It couldn't be. Did you see the pictures that I posted of her tile and her door? And
oh, no, I didn't see those. I just saw the front entrance.
Oh, just the front, but you can see the tile, like the walkway up, how it's just all curated. It's just very Renee. It's very femme, pink, pastel-y. It's gorgeous. It's like it has these large ceilings. I mean, yeah, these
in
really
LA,
high ceilings, beautiful finishes. She's got one of those tubs that has the feet. I forget what it's called.
Claw feet?
In her room. Oh yeah, it's just like a lovely space, and her neighbors are nice, and we saw them, and yeah, I'm super proud of her. I'm happy to be here.
I'm happy. Are you resting? Are you getting into the groove of like, oh, I don't have to do, because you're not working, right? You're off.
I'm off. I'm off my 9-to-5 job, but I'm always doing something. But I'm off that job. No, I woke up early, and what did I start doing? I started busying myself with something.
Touching shit in your luggage.
No, I didn't even do that. I know that I normally I'm unpacking and organizing. I just left that alone. I think I started to read like politics and stuff for this episode. And then I went for a walk and listened to a politics episode. And then came back and we went for another walk. But anyway, I'm in LA. Hopefully I will enjoy myself. So I'll give that update next week, really, because I just got here yesterday. Quick tip, if you fly on the 4th, it's always cheaper, friends. So if you fly West Coast on the 4th, you'll still get here in time for the fireworks. And boy, were there fireworks in LA.
What a heck.
Boy, was the block hot. I thought bombs were going off. What's crazy is I left Flatbush in Brooklyn and came here and was like, oh, this shit is different too. Black people just act, I don't know what they celebrating. I'm like, this ain't even really our holiday. But y'all out here spending all your money on these fireworks. I have to admit, I was a white woman again, and I had to call the police on
Oh,
Flex,
my God. Not you going to LA and calling.
No, I didn't call.
police
Not in LA. It was in Brooklyn, and I have a good reason why. So I was in my apartment. This wasn't even on the 4th of July. This is the day before, and they cutting up. And they cutting up in the church parking lot. So I'm really like, come on, y'all. It's about 12:30 in the morning. And I'm like, okay, they're going to go off all night, whatever. I'm not worried about that. But they kept getting closer, and you know where I live. They kept getting closer and closer to my window. And so I peeked my head out. I was like, yo, y'all, do your thing. But, like, this stuff is getting real close to my window. And they're like, oh, yeah, all right. 10 minutes later, boom, it hits my window. There's a little crack at the top.
And I was like, cracker in your window.
Yo, and I'm thinking, like, you could easily, like, imagine if the window would burst. Like, imagine if that hit differently. It could have came through my bedroom window, burst the window. So I was like, that's it. Now I have to call the police on blacks. And I felt bad. I really did. It was on the heels of y'all tearing me up about this Justin Timberlake thing. We'll get into that.
You like,
But I was upsetting myself when I did it. And I said, I'm really hesitant to do this, operator. I really am. I feel conflicted. But I also
she said,
am
ma'am,
scared.
I am not a therapist. What the fuck is the problem?
You said you wanted to deal with your own biracial angst, sis. But anyway, that happened. I bought a new bike.
It is
sexy. It's a really big deal for me. It's a really big deal for me because I don't like to spend money. I don't think that's anything new. Anybody that got my little budgeting sheet, you see how insane I am about money. But I bought a bike. Bikes are not cheap. I bought a Trek. I shouldn't even have said that because they're not paying for this. But I'm excited to get back into biking. I bought 2 different bikes. I actually bought a hybrid bike and took it back the very next day and then got my first big girl road bike. So that's very exciting. The road bike is the one with the drop handles. That bike is super sexy. It's so fast. I took it out, Shanti, and I was obsessed with it.
What did you settle on the name?
I don't know the name yet, so I will reveal the name shortly. I have an idea, but I'm not sure if it suits him. I think this bike is a him. I have to ride him a couple more times.
Girl.
See what we come up with together. It's collaborative. But that's a thing, and I'm dealing with my own angst around money and my own angst around saving money and for the end of the world, which will money even matter then? I don't know, you know? And I was listening to a podcast because I had all this angst in me, even though riding my bike is making me feel so good. Mm-hmm. Just the sweating, just the heart, my heart rate, you know, being up, just everything about it. I'm like, what is it? Releasing the dopamine in my brain. And I'm just, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling active. My butt hurts, but that's okay. And so I was listening to a podcast. I will reveal said podcast later. But I started to recognize that trauma, they were talking about trauma, and they were saying, and I know that trauma is like this buzzword, but they were talking about trauma as the inability to be present. Like that is actually a sign of trauma and a trauma response. And so this light is killing me. It's driving me crazy how it's like a little bit on my face and a little bit not. It's really making me mad, and it wasn't like that. But anyway, all that to say, I recognize that I'm not using all of my senses. And that might sound weird, but I'm really only focused on my sight. And I'm not taking in all my other senses because I'm not present. So I'm not exploring taste as much. I'm not taking the time to sit there and taste things and smell. Like when I walk down the street, am I smelling the air? Am I taking, like if I'm in Prospect Park, am I smelling the grass? Am I smelling the flowers? Am I feeling things underneath me? Do I feel the breeze on my face? Any of it? And so I realize when I'm riding my bike, I'm present for the most part. Like I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm just solely experiencing this ride. I'm feeling the wind on my face. I'm feeling the sweat down my back. I'm hearing the music that I'm playing because I'm always riding with the speaker. Like I'm in my body in a way and in my present in a way that I'm not normally. And so it's almost becoming, or I'm hoping that it's going to become a mindfulness practice for me where like I'll get up in the morning and I'll go for a ride. And even if it's just 10, 15 minutes, it's just something that I need to do to like get settled in my day.
I love that.
So I was just taking all of that in and really, reflecting on why I'm not able to be present. And a lot of it has to do with fear. And if you're not present, you're thinking about the future or the past. And what does that bring up for me? What all those things. So anyway, that's what I've been.
That is no light work. Lately. That's a big lifts over there.
Child.
Honey child, sister girl. I'm just coming back from my vacation.
Where did
I
you
went
go?
to Hudson, New York. I went to upstate New York
With your artsy
and
boo?
with my artsy ball. And it was really nice. Hudson is a really quaint little town. So there was like maybe like on the main street of Hudson is the street called Warren Street, and it's maybe like 5 to 6 blocks of boutiques. And they're like not allowed to have any major companies in there. Like the biggest company that was allowed in there was CVS. So it was really refreshing to go and see all these small businesses and how they styled their boutiques and the stuff that they were offering. You would have gone crazy. Lots of antique furniture spots, just like the dope, like some antique, but made like furniture shit, like really well made, gorgeous,
Like wood
expensive.
pieces?
Yes, girl, like funky shit. I think it's like a little hub of furniture for whatever reason. Nothing was cheap. Nothing was cheap. Everything was expensive. I was like, the fuck, this country, little town. But I guess apparently a lot of it's like the summer homes for wealthy people go up there. But I got to go swimming. I got to walk around and go to the boutiques. I got to see a friend's art, end of her art show, which was a curation of all the Black folks that lived in Hudson and kind of like their histories, which was really dope. So like there's this little community of Black folks that are moving there. A lot of people from Brooklyn are moving there. And then you have like the old Blacks there. So that was cool. I'm just getting sick of Philly. I'm really getting tired of Philly. I'm getting tired. The energy, we went to Hudson, then we stayed in Manhattan, then we went to Brooklyn, then we went back to Philly. And just like the energy of all those places was so interesting and so different. And I want to like actively seek a space that feels good. So I'm trying to figure out how to prioritize that and like just make little trips. I love the idea of making trips. And then it like sparked an idea of like traveling again by myself and not going with anybody. I feel like when I had JoJo, all of the magic of the magic it just changed, of course. The direction changes. And I remember before I had her, how hype I was about traveling. And that kind of got redirected into just responsibility and other things. But I'm like, no, I need to bring that magic back of like being excited to go places and like having serendipitous moments. I haven't had, you know what I mean? By like, you go to a place and you meet a person and it like connects to a conversation or an idea you've been happening. And you're like, oh, like this. It just is like, wow, like it feels magical in a way. And I haven't had that in a minute and I want to bring it back. And I was reflecting on what you were saying about like creating the happiness. Again, I'm not
I'm saying it.
yeah, some shit about that. Well, happiness. I was like, I would like to do more of that. And my artsy boy has been doing these morning pages. He's been reading The Artist's Way. And this white woman been spitting.
That's my dad's favorite book, The Artist's Way.
Said she was just fucking shit up. He listens to it on the audio, so it's like just in the space. And I was like, somebody just saying shit, you just get mad. And I was like, just turn this bitch off because she's just saying all of the things, like undeniable truths. But he's been urging me to do morning pages. So every morning you sit down and you write 3 pages. And it doesn't matter. It could be your grocery list. You could just be freaking out about a dream you've had. But every single morning you sit down and you do 3 pages. So I started doing it while I was there. I didn't do it today after I got up because I had to take Joe to camp. And then it was just like, things become really clear to you. Like, oh, you're not when you are in practice of like, it's similar to what you were saying, riding your bike or putting yourself first, or like doing this ritual for yourself so that you can center yourself, and then you see what replaces that. It's a whole other thing that kind of cracks open of like, oh, I've been ignoring myself in this way for these other things, like, child. So we should do that. I would urge you to do 3 pages, or whoever's listening.
Don't ask me to do too much in the morning. If you want me to ride my bike, if you want me to set intentions, if you want me to morning.
All right,
pages,
maybe not riding your bike. I mean, maybe not morning pages, but
do too much in the AM, honey.
Similar to what you said, it's a thing, but there's something about getting all those thoughts out on paper that has been annoying. Good. And I'm watching your cat, Blue.
Yes. How is she? I was waiting for that.
Blue's a queen.
Do you love that I added that to your
Yes, I saw that
update?
I stopped in Brooklyn to get your cat because I have mice and they were driving me nuts. They were just bold as fuck. And you have a cat and we're going on vacation, so we just figured that out. I can't say that she's actually getting any mice, or like I don't see her mealing.
They probably ran away. They can smell her.
They probably did.
And then as soon as I come get her, they're gonna be right on back. It's tricky. You just need to buy a cat. I don't know what to tell you.
JoJo,
or keep her out your room and force her to stay in the.
I did. I closed all the doors so that she has no choice. She's like, bitch, I will go under this couch so fast. She's a queen, though. She's a beautiful cat. JoJo's more obsessed with her than she is of JoJo. She tolerates Jolie. But it's been good. I wanted to give you an opportunity to retract, clarify, restate some of these opinions that you've been.
I will not. There's a voice.
Every week, I'm gonna give you an opportunity to do this. So just know, because you've been saying.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, you've been saying some wild shit.
I've not said anything wild. I've said only facts. I'll be happy to clarify things. I received a lot of backlash. What didn't go as well as my Wiz take? I'll say that. A lot of love came from the Wiz take. This last Justin Timberlake, and then this whole, I need to clarify that. And I definitely need to clarify this Jay-Z, Michael Jackson fiasco. It's really on you that you really put on me. And I never mentioned Michael Jackson. You did, but that's okay.
Girl,
we will discuss later on in this podcast. I'm not going to start like this because the way I've been just fending for myself. I've been waiting for you to tap in and be like, no, guys, she actually didn't say that.
Oh, I haven't seen people commenting on the Michael. I saw 2 comments about Michael Jackson. That's it. I haven't. They're going on your personal. They must be your personal because I only saw 2 comments.
Just so y'all know, when y'all tweet, it's only me because Shanti, I don't even think has Twitter downloaded. So this one girl, I had to delete my response because she was cussing, and I was about to be like, but I didn't. I said, you know what? This is actually a business account. Keep it together. Don't
on Twitter.
Shanti. Yeah, she had a lot to say.
Compassion and empathy. Girl, I saw Deepak Chopra. That was a sign. I saw Deepak Chopra running on these New York streets, minding his business.
It's a sign for you to come on. You just need to move here or move there. Where am I? Stop playing. We might need to move to LA. It's really it's the weather for me. It's really
that's the thing. It's the quality of life.
Yeah. Even though I feel like LA is more expensive than New York. Am I making that up? The housing market, I feel like
nothing about no LA, child.
I actually don't know. But I don't know. This weather is just silly. But I don't think that I would like the people. I love the people of New York. So
yeah, they're giving different energy from what I heard here.
Yeah.
But speaking of New York, when I went to New York, we were just walking past. This is
here all the time. I love this.
This Photographica spot, which is, I don't know how to say it, Swedish folks. I know about it Well, I went there and I was like, that's a dumb name. And then I was watching this thing about Anna, the girl that's been scamming everybody, Anna Vera, whatever. Anyway, she is involved with this she originally wanted to scam her way into the space, that cathedral-like space that Photographica is in. Anyway, I'm in a Netflix tunnel with this. It's with the girl that's plays in Ozark. It's the same actress, Ruth from Ozark. She's fucking it up. Anyway, that's an aside. But anyway, we were just walking past and we just saw these dope images of like Black women and art. And of course, she was like, we should go there, right? And I was like, okay. And it was really, really dope. I recommend everybody to go. It's a beautiful space. You feel like somebody up in that bitch. I think there were 6 floors and each floor is a different exhibit.
Oh, what is it? Yeah, you haven't explained what it is.
So it's basically, they brand themselves as not being a museum, but they're a space that has gorgeous photographs from amazing photographers around the world. They're basically like exhibitions, but there's also places where you can eat and drink.
Exhibits? Wait, what?
Exhibits? Exhibition? Is exhibits short for exhibition?
Wait, just look it up real quick.
I go to one motherfucking gallery.
No, I think it might be exhibitions. I think you're right. You know what? It's my raggedy self, because when
exhibits is what, science and shit?
Exhibition is right. An exhibit, I think it's the same. I think they're both the same.
Exhibit might be the nickname though for exhibitions. It might be the shorthand.
What is exhibition? Because that's also a porn term. I have problems that I cannot fix.
Wow, what porn term is that, girl? Talk to me. Exhibition.
Okay, so exhibition is a public display of works of art or items of interest. So you were absolutely right. That is also something that you can Google in porn. So that's why I got nervous.
Where people are fucking publicly?
They're making love or engaged in some sort of The fact that I got all nervous because my raggedy brain. Please continue, because I actually like Photographica. I've decided that that's how you pronounce it.
Photographica. It was dope. They have the Black Venus exhibit. It's just a collection of Black women artists doing their thing. It was really gorgeous. And the curation of it was so nice. It was like cute. It was like the colors, the branding. It was like, oh. But the best one, in my opinion, was Milked in Africa. And it's by Toni Gum. I didn't know about her. I've probably seen her images before. She was really big on Tumblr when Tumblr was life. But it was just chef's kiss. Like the colors, the images, the message that she was given, how she did it. Just genius. Y'all should go. Niggas, bitches, take your people out for your first date. Go by yourself. But if you want to, it felt like I thought I saw a lot of people on first dates, and it felt like, that's good. They were just walking around with their like wine. Meanwhile, Rashid just left me on like 4-3. But no, it was fabulous. Another thing that's fabulous is happening in Philly as well. I mentioned it before, but it's coming up soon, is the Black Star Film Festival. It will be happening August 3rd through 7th. Ooh. The Black Star Film Festival is an annual celebration of Black films from the diaspora. They have screenings. They have, what do you call that? Talks with major filmmakers, writers, creators. So y'all should check it out. It's dope. Go on www.blackstar.org to see what
blackstarfest.org.
www.blackstarfest.org. And there's gonna be a marketplace on the 6th. So if you want to come and shop pretty things too,
the 6th of what?
August.
Girl.
The 6th of August. I said August 3rd through 7th.
Okay.
All right. We done
I
passed
tell you,
July
it
6th.
could be me. I'm a little slow.
It could be because it's July 5th. But
it's getting tricky for me. I'm like, wait, what? All right, and other hot shit. I want to highly recommend the podcast that made me get into my head about my senses and whether or not I'm using them. And that episode is from the podcast On Purpose with Jay Shetty and Gabrielle Bernstein.
whoa.
Was on the podcast. Apparently, this woman was an addict. She suffered childhood abuse and then and like molestation and things like that. And then she wrote a bunch of self-help books that she then wrote another book about that was more personal. And she was saying how she should have never been writing self-help books at the time that she was. And because she wasn't fully healed, and she realized that she had all of this stored trauma within her that she had been putting aside because she was a highly functioning person, but not necessarily a healthy person, which rang a bell. I was like, wait, say that again, girl. But Gabrielle Bernstein is on here, and the name of the episode is Childhood Trauma and Why You Must Be the One to Heal Yourself from the Inside Out. The title is a little like, okay, but it was she's super practical with her approach. And I really appreciated that. She has like very practical ways to even evaluate yourself. And she's pushing her book. Not pushing it, but she's discussing her new book that apparently I looked up some reviews on, and it's highly recommended. The name is escaping me now. But if you go to that podcast, One Purpose with Jay Shetty, look for Gabrielle Bernstein's episode. It will be a good 45 minutes that well spent, I'll say, kids.
Are you into the Audible books? Have you tapped into that yet?
Excuse me?
Have you tapped into the Audible books?
What do you mean, like audio?
Like
only?
the books that you listen to rather than reading paper?
Yeah, I have audio. Oh, yeah, I have audio books.
Audio. Because I said Audible.
Audible.
God.
It's okay. We're
Audible
doing
is the app.
Audible is
from
the
which
app.
you buy the audio.
True.
Word.
Yes, queen.
Okay. I'm going to do that. I'm not reading books no more. It's
I need to read them.
I like it.
I need to read them because of my dyslexia, and I also need to read them because as I listen to them, the vocabulary doesn't stay with me. So my vocabulary has just diminished. It's just, it's gone. I have nothing. So I'm realizing I need to read the words, sound them out. Like I need to see them and say them in order to like retain them. If I just hear it in the moment, I'll think to myself, oh, it's a great word. Why don't I use that more? And I forget it. It's in one ear and out the other. I just don't, for whatever reason, retain the information without either reading it or writing it down, which is why I think I take all these outline notes and things like that. It's weird. You gotta know how your brain works.
Mm-hmm. Good for the blacks too. Essence Fest has been on everybody's timeline. I want to go to Essence Fest next year. I want to vend at Essence Fest. That's one of my goals.
You can vend at Essence Fest.
I want to do it. I'm so proud of all of the businesses and their journeys. Like, do you follow Mess in a Bottle? She makes the t-shirts.
Yeah.
From the journey that she had from when she first went to Essence, where her car broke down and it was just her and her friends, like trying to make it to Essence Fest with all of her merch in her fucking car and struggling to get there with the speak of setup and everything, to now she has like a whole beautiful setup display. She had, of course, staff working for her, Lip Bar, Melissa, like, I'm just so proud of them, and I aspire to be like them, and I want to vend at Essence Fest. So if you guys see me vend at Essence Fest, give me a round of applause, because that is a major goal for me. But everyone looked really beautiful. The sound on each clip that I saw just sounded echoey. Just sounded.
I didn't watch
crazy
almost
to
any
me.
clips. That's a shame.
Oh, well, do you
I heard it
follow
was on
Essence?
Hulu though. I'm sorry?
I didn't watch. No, I'm not that committed. I was just looking at whatever snippets they were sharing on the Instagrams. But apparently, everybody was really underwhelmed with Angela Yee's hosting, which I think was a really interesting choice. Anyway, she doesn't give like hype girl like intro to
Ever.
stuff. Yeah, so I don't know why
Even
they
on
chose
her own
that.
show, even on lip service, she's like, yeah, so
No, she don't give that energy, but apparently people are saying that she was being shady and mentioning every single artist but the headliner, which was Nicki Minaj. I don't know what beef they have, but it tracks to me. Whatever. Shout out to Nicki. She looked great, and all the blacks looked really, really good. And people like to have fun. So,
and shout out to Jasmine. She
shout out to
performed.
Jasmine.
Shout out to Janet Jackson, who is, I don't know how old that lady is, but she is still up there dancing. She's not 20 anymore, so it's different. But the fact that she is in the shape that she's in doing that, I'm like, wow, hats off. An icon, a legend. I love her. I stand for Janet.
Really? I didn't know you had that. Remember when you did your... That wasn't Janet, though. Remember
that was
Miss
Janet.
Pam's?
That was Control.
Okay, yes, it was Janet. Remember that? You had
I had the key hanging from my ear.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that was amazing.
For Jasmine's mom's 50th birthday. That was
amazing.
That was what she wanted. So silly.
Antoinette went out there and did it, boy. Listen. The BETs also happened. The BET Awards happened last week. It came out the day that I think our episode aired, so we kind of missed all the tea. It's all late news. But the most important thing is Jasmine won Best Female R&B and Pop Artist. So that's... And Diddy did his thing. I guess, I don't know. I don't even need to talk about him, but...
Ciao.
He just out here...
that Puff Daddy. What a tricky... Everybody was mad that he thanked Cassie, and I wasn't. At all.
Me either. Why are you gonna thank him?
He should have thanked her. Should. No? I thought it was interesting that after Lil' Kim and Shine performed, their Google searches went up. So it just shows you how old we are. That like people
their
don't
Google
know.
Searches went up?
People don't know who they are.
Shine, I understand.
Kim, that's crazy town.
And
like,
so,
how do you not know? There was a woman who performed. You might know who she is. She was so great. I thought she was the best performance. All performances. She is a Black woman. She came out in this blonde wig, and then she threw it off, and she had cornrows under her hair. If y'all watched it, y'all know who I'm talking about. BET Award performers.
She was like the up and coming artist stage, or like.
I have no. I didn't watch it, and I didn't even know that there were two different stages. No, it was like the big stage, I thought. Anyway, she's incredible. If y'all know who I'm talking about, please, I'm gonna send you a video where she did a pop-up performance where they literally drove a little like van in, and then the van, it's not a van, but it's some kind of like vehicle that has like a glass encasing, and so that glass encasing kind of drops, and she started performing just kind of like butt naked with these women in like a warehouse.
I have to know now.
I know. All right, you
That's
talk about something else and let me Google it. It's too much pressure.
Oh, sorry. You have here Stranger Things. Have you finished it?
Oh my goodness. All right, can you look up? So, Shanti,
what?
I can't stand us. This is not the last season of Stranger Things. I thought this was the last season. You knew that?
Yes, JoJo is obsessed. Yes, it's not, but another one's not coming out for like another 2 years. So basically, it is.
I can't stand
collective
myself.
Consciousness because we can't.
I really do so much wrong. So I'm watching Stranger Things, and I'm stressed. Because I'm thinking to myself, like, how are they ending? And I keep looking like, how much time is left? Stressed. Like, oh my God, they not. Like, what's happening? I don't want to give it away. So if people have watched it, they can understand why I kept looking like, it's only 5 minutes left. How are they going to wrap this up? This is just, bananas. So, I'm thinking to myself, like, wow, what an untraditional ending. And then I realized, girl, it's a whole nother season coming out, child.
But how are they going to do it? Those children are going to be adults. How are they going to make that make sense?
Dochi or Doechi. I don't know. I'm so sorry. Back to the BT Awards. This woman, I don't know who she is. Yes. Doechii. Incredible performer. Thought she had the best performance. She is a force to be reckoned with. I am a stan, and I'm gonna send you her performance where she pulled up in this. What? Doechii. She performed a song called Persuasive and Crazy. I don't know either one of them. But, also big shout out to Gogo Morrow, who was our friend Jasmine Morrow. Yay. Not to be confused with Jasmine Sullivan, but Jasmine Morrow also performed, and she's up next. So we are rooting for her. But anyway, Stranger Things, child. I just don't know how I feel about that, the villain. And I have to speak about this.
Petty. He's so petty.
He's petty, but it's also seeing him, like the visual of him. I'm just like, what? Like, it was not what I was gonna. I would have never thought.
Him in his human form, or him as the little burnt up thing?
I prefer him in the human form. So I wish they would have knocked him into that whatever that other world is. It's like an other dimension, and he would have just stayed in that form. Because seeing him in this mega monster thing is just. It makes it feel like it went.
Crotch. I'm like, what that thing do? Like that little.
What?
I just always look at his little Ken doll mound. Like
I've never looked at that. And
you've never looked at his crotch?
For anyone that watches this show, for you to be looking at that disgusting alien-looking creature's crotch says so much to me. Like I don't know who you are.
I always wonder how they handle genitalia for like naked things, like creatures. I always wonder how they're gonna do it. Uh-oh.
Okay, well, it's stressful. It is. I think it's done really well. I was not a fan of all of them being in different locations, and now I see why they did it, and it made complete sense. And they're all coming together, But I cried twice.
Me too.
Oh, you finished it?
Yeah.
I thought I was talking to you. I'm talking to you like you ain't see it, girl.
We're talking to the masses, to the people, like they ain't see it because we ain't giving no fucking.
I know when you cry, I was stressed for that girl. Mm-hmm. When I wept when she was saying "I'm not ready." Yeah. I said, "Oh no, okay."
And he was on the plane. That nigga was acting. I said, "All of y'all are
she
acting."
Was too. I feel all like she deserves an award. And I think Dustin was incredible when his little when he was holding.
Yeah, they were doing great.
But the one thing that I was sorry, and then I'll shut up. The way that they incorporate music into that show and how the music feeds the plot, and it's like a whole other character. You know how people will say that the setting is another like when you do a film in New York is a part of the character. The music. Whoever, you just got something. I might just pay for something more stable. The music on this show, chef's kiss.
I love how they have really honed in on the 80s theme, though, in more ways than one. And like the 80s kid adventure hero genre, where they're like, the friendship keeps them together, and they're like, problem solving. It really,
you're right.
I love it. They really hone in, and I'm like, it reminds me of like Goonies and.
That's the factor. Yeah, that you're right. It's so good. It's so good, and I can't stop looking at Elle and seeing her breast.
I know.
When she was in that tank, I just kept thinking like, oh, she's a woman. Look at her. And then when they have the flashbacks and you see her in that baggy t-shirt when she was in the woods. It's like, look at how little you were.
Oh, the flashbacks that they had was really good.
I know.
It's good.
Those kids. I just feel
it did not disappoint me at all.
I feel super connected to them. So, Ozark. Y'all, Shanti is finally watching Ozark. I finally finished Ozark. I wasn't ready. It was getting a little... I'll say that it was getting a little far-fetched. don't know, 4 or 5, kind of similar to Stranger Things. Season, what season was that? Whatever season that lady, her brother was on, was my favorite season. Like that, he was incredible. Maybe that was just my favorite guest star. But the way that Ozark ended, it just, yeah. You're
Girl,
gonna.
don't say nothing. I
I
ain't see
can't
it.
say.
So.
I can't. I don't know what to say. It just. I think that they did a really great job, and I don't think it should have ended any other way.
Is it done?
It's done. Over. No more Ozark. So.
Oh, that's a masterpiece. When somebody says that about a finale, then
No, there were things I would have changed, but in the finale episode, like the plot, there were some plot twists that I was like, this is getting a little, all right, far-fetched. Come on, guys. But you will understand when you actually see it. There's a couple choices they made at the end that were big choices. And I think it just sends a message about class, about lots of different things. So good job by them. And politics.
Not good job by the United States of America. Today is July 5th. Yesterday was July 4th.
Yes.
And it was just a snapshot. Just a snapshot of the irony and the chaos that is, and the cognitive dissonance that is America, child. That is just a mess. In Chicago, initially it was 6 people. Just today makes it 7 people are dead, 30 wounded, the ages ranging from 8 to 85. A young man, Robert E. Cremo, is the person of interest who's just been detained, completely unscathed, by the authorities for being responsible for shooting into a Chicago suburb while folks were just celebrating July 4th. The city of brotherly love as well. Last night, I am less than a mile away. I'm in walking distance from the art museum. And all of a sudden I just hear helicopters. I go and scroll on Instagram and I see that one of the councilmen just says oh, this, I just heard about, basically sending his condolences to the city. And I was like, oh my God. 2 police officers were shot during the Made in America festival, which just attracts thousands of people from the city and from other places.
Was that Made in America?
Was that Made in America?
I think it was just a 4th of July celebration.
When's Made in America? Am I lying to the people again?
I think that has to do with Live Nation, and that's like a concert. Was it a concert? It's like a festival, like a music festival, Made in America.
Okay, I lied to you. Normally it's around the 4th of July. Forgive me. It was just a regular traditional city celebration of the 4th of July with fireworks. And I think there were some performances. There were performances, but it wasn't the Made in America. I'm sorry for slandering their name. But yeah, 2 police officers were shot. No one was killed, fortunately. But there are just videos that are circulating on social media of fireworks.
Celebratory.
And this statuesque, beautiful picture of the art
skyline.
Museum. Gorgeous. Yeah, building, trees, fountain. And then there's just people running for their lives.
Chaos.
Because of
terror on the ground. The juxtaposition of those 2 realities at the same time as America celebrates its birthday is so fitting. I mean, it just hits the nail on the head of yep, this is it. This is what it is to live in this country right now.
There's been no one who's been identified as the shooter. They're not sure if it was an intentional shooting or if the police got caught in the crossfire of just celebratory gunfire, so it's still up in the air. But our Mayor Kenny has been, this is his 2nd term. He's been for Philly since 2016. Kenny done been through
a lot.
Kenny's been through so much.
And he's been a good mayor, right?
I mean, people have criticized him, especially around, all the Black Lives Matter riots.
Okay. Riots? What do you mean?
Protests, forgive me. Along Ben Franklin, apparently, there was some cops being cops. People were protesting on Ben Franklin, shut down the highway, and they acted violently towards the protesters. And I guess it was Kenny's told him to do it. It was his word that said go ahead and do what you got to do. So there's been a lot of it's the pandemic, so everybody's upset about what's being done, how things are being done, how things are not being done, what are the rules and what's being regulated in the city during COVID. So again, Kenny has been a mayor during some of the most contentious and wild times of the city. And so Mayor Kenny was interviewed after the 4th of July incident and the shootings. And he's like, yo, let me read verbatim because I will fuck up this.
I don't enjoy the 4th of July, Kenny said. I didn't enjoy the Democratic National Convention. I didn't enjoy the NFL draft. I'm waiting for something bad to happen all the time. I'll be happy when I'm not here, when I'm not mayor, and I can enjoy some stuff. Yikes.
And then the interview was like, oh, did you say you don't want to be mayor anymore? And Kenny was like, I'll be happy when I'm not mayor anymore.
That's
and
real.
Everybody's really upset. A lot of, council members are like, yo, just resign. Like the Philadelphia residents that have to deal with gun violence every single day can't just go and enjoy after, their term is over. They can't escape it. It sounded like he didn't care. I personally feel like that is from a tired, stressed human being who, listen, if you're a parent and you say, fuck this job every now and then, if you're like, how many times people say this is hard work, then the sentiment, especially around stuff that you really care about. And it's out of his control in some ways.
And it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot that goes into being mayor. It's a lot of politics. It's a lot of BS that he has to deal with. And I can understand him saying every day that there's a celebration in this city, whether it's this, that, I'm stressed. I'm waiting for something bad to happen and I can't actually take it as a human anymore. I get it. I get both sides of it too.
I was stressed even. I was like, it came to my mind knowing those big crowds of God, something could happen. Something could happen. And that's not just due to Philly's climate of violence. Philly's wild. But that's the country's gun climate that he doesn't have any control over. And that's what he mentioned. He was like, listen, this is an issue of gun control. And a lot of this stuff is outside of my hands in some ways.
Well, I'm glad you said that because I wanted to, before we moved on, I just wanted to talk about, especially that Chicago shooting, and there were lots of different shootings across this country. They just passed that legislation, right? With this they're so happy, this new bipartisan legislation, meaning that Democrats and Republicans both agreed on it. And it's basically new gun laws, right? Supposedly. But I just want to say that the bill was passed, gives states $750 million to only encourage them to enact red flag laws. So these red flag laws they're tricky because basically they're laws that allow authorities to temporarily remove guns from those that they deem dangerous either to themselves or to the community. But that has to be done by a court. And there's no national standard. So each state, again, determines how their red flag laws work. And so the red flag law, because it has to be determined by a court, a lot of people, it's basically reliant on family members, on friends, to report these things to the police and say, hey, or a counselor at a school to say, hey, this person is displaying this behavior, and for it to go up the chain, which is a little tricky when you have this murderer, Robert E. Crimo. he had different things. Like the police were called to his home and they took away knives and such because he was threatening to kill himself. No family member then took that to the court, and like there was nothing happened to where like the red flag law would have really kicked in. And so right after that incident was when he went and bought all of these guns, and he was able to do that. And so that's why there's loopholes in these laws. And so I can understand why Mayor Kenny is exhausted, where he's like, why can't we get some laws on the federal level? Why don't we have like a national standard? Also, Shanti, where the fuck are all these guns coming from in Philly? It's like, who is coming and just flooding the streets with these guns? Like, Philly's wild for that. In New York, they just enacted a law because, you know, the Supreme Court just made it easier for people to purchase laws. And New York was freaking out, purchase guns.
Purchasing laws too.
Yeah, Freudian slip. But our mayor, who I don't love, but that's an aside, he was talking about how it's now, you know, the onus is on the court, or the onus is on us to be able to prove, the city to be able to prove why the person should not have a gun. It used to be on the resident to be able to prove why they should have a gun. So it was very hard to get a gun in New York. That was then ruled unconstitutional. And so now it's easier to get a gun in New York, but the loopholes they're going through is you have to submit your social media for like the last like 5 or 6 or 10 years. I don't remember the years. But this is something that a lot of states don't have. But had this kid, Robert E. Cremo, had to submit his social media, they would have seen that he was threatening people online. They would have had, and so that's why they're saying there's got to be more done, because if no one reported, I don't want to go on and on, but if no one reported him, it didn't go up to the court, there's no red flag law. It's just so tricky. So I know that submitting social media is tricky too, but I'd rather live in a state where it's harder to get a gun than not. That's just my personal preference, but it's tricky. That's all I'm saying. Tricky is our favorite word here, so at least mine. But I don't know. That's all I got to say on that. I feel bad for Mayor Kenny. I feel terrible for the state of Illinois, and it's sinful. It really is. I don't know what we're going to do.
It doesn't get any more brighter, because this has been really hard. I've been seeing this on social media, and quite honestly, I have been like intentionally, again, the cognitive dissidence. I've been just kind of like tapping out of really getting into this story. But I did today, and it's the story of Jayland Walker, who on June 27th was killed by Akron police in Ohio during a foot chase after an attempted traffic stop. The officers fired more than 90 bullets at Walker, 60 of which went into his body and killed him. The officers provided footage and audio of Jayland firing out of the car during the chase. Once he stopped, he was wearing a ski mask and was fleeing on foot. Officers claim he then stopped and turned toward them unarmed while shooting. Unarmed, he was shot. I didn't add that. Did you add that part?
I added that. It was just notes for me. And then he also had a loaded gun in the car that he fled from. I wanted to make sure that all of the information was there.
So the footage does show him shooting at them?
There's footage that shows him shooting, shows a shot coming out of the car during the chase. They're saying it was towards them. I mean, it's like a blip. And then there's footage where he looks like he's turning like the way anyone would if they're running from someone, to see how close people are behind them. It didn't really look, I don't know. They claim as soon as a shot came out the vehicle during the chase, I feel like, it was on and popping from then. I think the biggest, and he took him on like a 6-mile chase. My biggest issue here is, why would you need to shoot that man 90 times? 90? Why would you need to shoot at him 90 times when, as we can see, white folks to shoot up parades are taken in and they're not. I mean, this is not a new conversation. They're taken in without being harmed at all. Um, but I do think that people are leaving out the fact that there was a shot that came from his car. Allegedly,
Oh,
it is on tape. I
the
do think people are
information that
leaving
I
out.
got was that he was unarmed and that.
He was unarmed while he was running. There was a loaded weapon in the car that he
Oh,
fled from.
well, there you go. There you
But
go.
he was, again, I think saying there you go.
He wasn't armed.
Right, he
It's
wasn't
not like
armed
active
with.
combat. Like he was shooting at
No,
them, so they're probably like, I don't know. There just has to be,
it's
with all the
tricky in that
technology that we
situation.
have, there has
I
to be
know.
something that can stop somebody without killing them. There has to be.
Well, I think for me, again, my thing is once that shot came out of the car, and allegedly, again, this is what they're saying. It looked like a shot came out the car from the footage that I saw. But once it did, the police don't know, or any human doesn't know that this person doesn't still have this gun on them. It's a person running out of the car in a ski mask and a car that just allegedly fired at them. So to, I am not excusing this at all. What I'm saying is I don't even know what the fuck I would do in that situation. I would assume the person still has a gun, but to shoot that person shoot at them 90 times and then to shoot them 60 and then to bring them to the coroner still handcuffed behind his back. That information just came out about 15 minutes ago. When he showed up to the coroner's office, he was dead completely, and they still didn't even take the handcuffs off of him.
I think the semantics of it, I think the even the rationale of, again, how we engage with violence or how police are trained around safety and what happens when their safety is threatened. It's just straight from the military. And I don't know. There just has to be another way than doing these kind of like military training in the name of protection. There just has to be another way. And I doubt this will happen, but I really hope that, that there's a greater discussion around changing these systems, changing these practices that don't work for police or for the community in which they're quote unquote like protecting. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's not working. There's too much.
It's dangerous for the police. It's dangerous for it's all around just bad. It's all around. I think it's. I don't know. I think that also we need to, and I don't want to sound like I'm on some like 12's bandwagon at all, because I really cannot wrap my head around why they needed to shoot this man this many times. I just don't get it. Like, not 90 is just too many. Like, what the fuck? What's happening right now? But they're humans too, and they're fucking scared. They want to go home to their families. So you're right, nothing works, but you don't need to shoot somebody 90 times. I'm just hell bent on that. I don't understand that. I think it's also interesting that, what is that asshole, that murderer's name? Robert E. Cremo. Well, he's not well. I guess we're supposed to have empathy for everyone, right? We just talked about that. But the police, part of the reason why like charges weren't filed and things like that was because in that case, mental health folks were called in the way that we've been asking. He just happens to be white, and it happened not to work. And then he went and shot up a parade. I don't know what the answer is. I really don't. I think it's very nuanced. I do think, though, that when we talk about this stuff, we have to talk about it with all the information. And I have a hard time trusting that the police are going to provide all of the information and all of it accurately, especially now that the onus is on them to prove why they fired 90 times. and they have to prove why each bullet was needed. And they're
Is that
probably
what
going
they
to get
have to
off.
prove? Or they
Yeah,
just prove the reason why they fired, period?
no, they have to prove why, not only why they
Well,
fired, period, but why the amount of force was used. And they'll prove it, I'm sure.
they will, because
And
he was firing at them, and that
right.
justifies them firing them, and that's the shit that doesn't. And we all go, oh, okay, all right, that's the law.
No, I don't
Okay.
think we go, okay. I
I'm
don't
not
think people are
saying
doing
you,
that at
but
all.
a lot of
Okay.
people are like, well, that's the law. Okay, what are we going to do? Those are the laws that are in place,
I
and
don't know.
what are we going to do?
Again, gun control. That could help, but
with the police.
no.
The police
Gun
have
control.
gun control. Like
No.
it gets anyway. That's a different conversation. But when the state has the guns, it's like, oh, we don't have to regulate how the state uses their violence or how the state uses their gun control.
No, we
like,
do have to regulate it. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm not saying that at all. It's so complicated.
Well, we gotta unravel this motherfucker because it's again, the fireworks and the shooting is just, it's becoming an undeniable issue. It's not going away. It's increasing rapidly. On top of all of this, I also saw that Michigan police force used black men as targets to use all of the information as both threatening and non-threatening. But it came up, they were having Boy Scouts on a what's it called when you go visit. They were visiting. I don't know why they were visiting this police force, but someone noticed that all of the targets were black men. And again, some were holding guns, some weren't holding guns, but all the targets were black men. They have since apologized.
Yeah, okay.
And again, this is a learning. How did that happen? That doesn't make sense.
It's conditioning. I mean, they're literally conditioning people.
Because they can't shoot.
I just can't. And that apology made me fucking sick. Right. Exactly. Can't even imagine it. Go ahead.
Not sure that this episode is going to get any lighter, y'all. But this is it. Again, this is what's happening.
We'll get lighter. We will.
This is, I don't know.
No, we will. Because we've got some voicemails that's going to lighten it up. Go ahead.
I think this is the reality. Like, I think this is it. It's not everything by any means, but this is what is. I always go back to even you feeling upset or feeling sad or feeling all the feelings, and like we want to be like, well, why am I feeling this way? When it's like this collective shit is happening. Like, why wouldn't we all be feeling?
And we're consuming it. The average person is I forget. I was listening to the Daily, and they said the average person is getting within a day 24 years of trauma from the news alone. Like, before social media, before all of this was like so readily available to us. And again, it's ignorance is bliss, right? It's like, it's that battle of being informed and not. I don't want to pass over your last bullet though of Brittany Griner. I think this is important.
Brittany Griner wrote a letter to Biden. For all of you that don't know, Brittany Griner is an Olympic basketball player. She went to Russia and was detained there for having a marijuana vapor. It's just some minute paraphernalia.
To us,
but to Russia, they don't play that. And has been detained. And at this point, it's been indefinitely. She's in trial now. The trial resumes on Thursday. But, it's just been an effort to Russia's at war, so this is leverage. It's also really sensitive that people don't want to bring too much attention to her because, again, this is leverage, and Russia's
she's also a lesbian, and so her wife was told not to speak out about it because she could be brought up on more charges because homosexuality is not legal in Russia. And that's really tricky because her wife kind of she was quiet at first and trying to protect her Brittany, but now she's getting frustrated. She doesn't feel like enough is being done. And apparently she has not had a meeting with President Biden. which is very frustrating for her. I know that she's had calls with the White House. I know that people have been in contact with her, but she has not had direct contact with the president. There's a lot of people that don't feel that her case, that anyone's doing enough for her. I will say I don't understand international diplomacy that well, but it's very tricky. It's very tricky when you have, I think it's Turkey and Sweden joining NATO. Russia does not fuck with NATO. And then you have Ukraine wanting to join NATO. Russia's at war with Ukraine. One of the biggest backers, like supporters of Ukraine, is America. So Biden is trying, or the White House, I think, is tiptoeing around this line of not igniting more tensions with Russia. And she's a political prisoner. And sadly, like, no matter what your opinion of Biden is, I personally find it really hard to imagine that he doesn't want Brittany Griner home. There was a article that came out that said freeing Griner, this is from USA Today, according to some sources in the White House and some speculation that was raised on Russian news media, that in order to free her, it will require the U.S. to free Viktor Bout, which apparently is a Russian arms trader, nicknamed the Merchant of Death. And he was arrested in 2008 after undercover agents, he was about to sell undercover agents missiles capable of shooting down American planes.
What? That's the trade?
And other weapons. So obviously the White House is, I'm sure, having these behind closed doors negotiations. It's him and someone else. And so someone from the DEA said that this human who they are speculating, again, it's speculation, that Russia wants free, was arguably the largest and most sophisticated arms trafficker on the globe when he was arrested. So it's tricky. Russia does not play fair. Russia does not play fair, and this poor woman is caught up in this. And I want to be really clear, because people are saying, well, why was she in Russia? She was in Russia because a lot of WNBA players play overseas and play on Russian teams because they're paid so little here. And so they make much more money overseas. And she actually sadly told her wife she didn't feel like going on the trip, but she went anyway for the check.
This is what she penned Biden. They didn't release all the contents of the letters, but she wrote, "As I sit here in a Russian prison, alone with my thoughts and without the protection of my wife, family, friends, Olympic jersey, or any accomplishments, I'm terrified. I might be here forever." And again, her trial resumes again on Thursday. So everybody, in your morning prayers or practices, send some love to Brittany. Oh my God, and her wife and her family.
Can't imagine.
That is a nightmare.
Yeah,
a complete
really
and total nightmare.
Okay, so let's switch gears a little bit. We have so many voicemails from last week. I wonder why, but we're gonna listen to them. I'm gonna play 2 back to back, and then quickly address them. And then we have 2 other ones. It's gonna go fast. Don't worry. But I will say that y'all are gonna leave me alone about this. And I can't even find it. You know what? It just breaks my little heart. All right, I'll play this one first while I look for the others.
Hi, Shanti and Antoinette. This is Penny again. I'm going to try to keep this tight and sweet, but I had a lot to respond to in your current episode that's out. First, I've been getting so annoyed with the way your conversations flow because I say everything that Shanti says at the exact same time. We definitely came from the same mold. And I also have a daughter that's about to turn 12, so I just relate to you so hard all the time. It makes me laugh. In regards to who can and can say nigga, I think that I definitely do agree with Antoinette that it's phenotype thing and how black you do look. And I also think it's whether or not a person can objectively say nigga, but more that the individual makes an effort to engage with the word historically and culturally. Basically, I'm more interested in you knowing your shit and moving with intention than whether or not you do say nigga, but I do think there is just an appearance thing going on there. And I do think that was an excellent summary of, Antoinette, what has happened in the last couple of weeks. Very good, top to bottom. I don't think it's short-sighted to say that the Democrats aren't doing anything because, it's an objective fact. Since 1973, before any of us was born, they didn't do the work to codify it, and so many people and so many opportunities that has passed. Yes, it's a system and a process they have in place. Watch plenty of West Wing. I know my shit. But that system obviously is not working for the people. It's not serving us. It hasn't for a while.
Agreed.
At the federal level, they've been very bad at the separation of church and state, and they've been very bad in ensuring that all people can pursue their happiness. Different happinesses is the bottom line there. I haven't finished listening to the entirety of your discussions about politics because y'all get hot and your voices get loud and I got to cut it off. But I do agree with you, Antoinette, that it's very important to engage with and vote in your local community, especially because you got to start where you are. It's important to engage in a system that's in front of us, but I do think it's important to also remember that they're gaming that system. Mm-hmm. It's a maze that we have to travel through, but they're fucking with that maze big time. And I think it's just important to hold both perspectives. Yes, engage, but also have a healthy outlook as to the higher-ups, the small amount of very cunning, very smart, very evil people who know what they're doing with this system. Anyway, those are the thoughts that I had. I hope y'all have a wonderful week after y'all holiday, and have a blessed day. Bye.
That's a succinct.
It was succinct, and
that was
I agree with her.
Eloquent
on every point. I think. Penny, you the shit. Maybe you should come on a podcast because you can tell Penny reads. Next up, and I want to make it really clear. I do recognize that this system is fucked up. Don't get me wrong. I know that. I think I said that last week, but I just want to say it again. Here's a couple more.
Hi, Antoinette and Shanti. This is Nicole. I've called once before. I just got done listening to the latest episode, and Antoinette, you and these hot takes. Girl, I really wanted to agree with you until you said that Justin Timberlake would wash Usher. Wash? Come on now. Now, I'm glad that you walked it back a little bit towards the end, because Justin Timberlake could absolutely compete with Usher. Nobody wants to discuss it because Justin Timberlake is white, but if he was just light-skinned, it would be more of a conversation. Don't get me wrong, I do believe that Usher would win, but Justin Timberlake don't have no punk-ass catalog. He could absolutely go toe-to-toe with Usher. I really, really love you guys. I appreciate the podcast. And I hope you guys keep doing what you're doing. You guys have a good week.
Hey, y'all. Just calling because I'm listening to the current podcast you guys just put out today. Justin versus Usher. Versus. And Antoinette, you are hurting my heart. These music tapes. What? Like, okay. So I get it. Justin Timberlake has some hits. He has some really good songs. Can't take that away from the guy. But no, I can't. He's not, to me, he's not better than Usher. And secondly, Versus is for the black. So, unfortunately, I don't think Justin can, partake in this event. So that's just nipped in the bud. I just think Usher is one of those who are kind of like Missy, not comparing them, but I'm saying like those people who should just be able to perform, do their songs, maybe shouldn't compete against anyone. Just my personal opinion. Secondly, I paused it. I didn't even finish it yet. I'm going to finish after I hang up. But Michael Jackson and Jay-Z, why are we comparing them, Antoinette? My heart. But yes, that's all I had to say. I wanted to call and, talk about other things you guys have discussed. But that Antoinette has hurt my heart. These music tapes, I don't get it. But love y'all. Take care.
All right. Couple things. Quickly. I want to be clear that do I prefer Usher over Justin Timberlake? Yes. If someone said to me, you can only listen to Justin Timberlake or Usher for the rest of your life, I'm picking Usher. I'm clear on that. I think what's not clear is what the fuck is Versus? Because I thought Versus was who has the bigger song. You play a song that now it's not. It's morphed into this performance thing, nostalgia. I get it. But back in the day, they were in two separate rooms. They played a track. Somebody else had the bigger track. That's who won. Also, Versus is not just white because Scott Storch was on there and he was winning. Sorry, again, hot take. But he was on there if you follow Versus.
Is he the only honorary white that's been on there?
I think so.
Well, good for you, Scott.
But he
who'd he go
is
against?
incredible. Who did he go against? Look that up. Come on, you gotta be better with the Googles. Help me out. I'll be Googling for you. You got me.
I thought you knew it off the.
I don't remember, but I remember being
like,
like, yo, they can't. Oh God. And I hate the way he looks. I remember being stressed. But he was great. So that's another thing. I want to also say,
Fresh, Scott Storch.
Yes.
Went again, Manny Fresh and ate Manny Fresh up? No.
Here we go. Did I say that he ate him up? Did I say that? So now we're getting into.
Said he was winning. I just put a colloquial little.
Thank you. Because here's the thing. A couple things. I said Usher would get washed. I also walked that back and was like, washed. I was being provocative. I was getting the people going. I do not think Usher would get washed. Usher and Justin performing. One, I also realized I don't really think it's actually that good of a match because Justin is pop and Usher is R&B. What I was saying was, even if he's on a Versus stage performing and Justin's over here doing his big pop hits that require a whole bunch of dancing and shit, and the Usher comes out. Usher comes out and he starts.
Does R&B.
He does R&B, but he also, a lot of his stuff is pop as well. If he comes out here and he's doing this pop stuff, rock your body and all that, that's pop to me. But here we go.
No.
But if he's out there doing all that stuff and carrying on and backflipping and dancing around, and then Usher's coming out with this smooth R&B stuff that, yes, it's nostalgic as hell. We all singing it. I don't know how that works on the Versus stage. Maybe it doesn't even match up well. I don't think Usher would get washed. But if we're talking about, and I'm going to stand by this, if we're talking about who has the bigger Billboard songs, not necessarily the songs that you love more, but whose songs are like hit, and the way they categorize hit is by charts. Justin does. That's just point blank period. Even with the songs that he's wrote, I hate to break it. I hate to hurt every black person's soul by saying that. With that said, I still prefer Usher's catalog. I love Usher. I will go see Usher before I saw Justin Timberlake. But Justin Timberlake is not a slouch, and we're not going to disqualify him just because he's white. Moving right along, Shanti put words in my mouth. I never said Jay-Z was better than Michael Jackson. I don't want to hear that ever again. I was saying, why are we comparing them? I even have her on text, recognizing the fact that she put the battery on back to comfort me in my DMs on Twitter. Y'all was tearing me up about that tape.
Jay-Z has a bigger catalog than Michael Jackson.
I said he has a longer catalog. Michael Jackson has passed away. Jay-Z has 13 songs.
That has not been fact-checked.
Albums. Okay.
By somebody else. You can't be the one to make that determination. I think somebody else needs to make the playlist.
My opinion. I'm clarifying my opinion. My opinion is that Jay-Z's catalog, just not is the catalog better than Michael Jackson, not is it more quality. I'm just talking about the sheer volume of songs and songs that are in my mind, quality songs that also charted and everything else. He just has there's just more of them on there. One, because Michael Jackson died, and Jay-Z's been doing this shit since forever. I put two playlists together.
Michael Jackson's been doing it since he was
I understand that, and I put two
Again,
playlists together. I put a Michael Jackson playlist together.
I
I
don't
did
trust your
it.
playlist. I don't
did
trust
it.
yours.
Then go ahead and put
For the
yours
around
together.
the way girls who think
Y'all
that
get on my
also.
nerves.
Nobody's saying it. No, all right, we understand. Your new argument is that Jay-Z has a.
It's not a new
catalog.
argument. You lied. You said I was comparing them as artists.
Excuse me, I'm not finished what I said. You have to let me finish what I said.
But it's not a new argument. Don't do that.
No, this is what what you're just saying now is that you said Jay-Z has a longer catalog than Michael Jackson because Michael Jackson has since deceased. Is that what you're saying?
No, it's not just because he's deceased. It's just because Jay-Z was putting out records every year, almost. Every summer, Jay-Z had he was spitting stuff out.
So you're saying that he has a longer, more prolific catalog than Michael Jackson.
Did I say more prolific?
Oh,
no,
girl,
that's
pick
not
your
what
adjective.
I said.
All right, use your.
That's not all I'm saying is that he has a longer catalog. That's it.
Prolific, longer. Those are the same.
No, they're not. Prolific is like what's the greatest? Oh my God, it was.
No, it isn't. Prolific means a lot. It means abundant. It means you're prolific. You have a lot of kids. Prolific means a lot.
I'm looking it up right now because
it doesn't have to do with the quality of something. You can have be prolific and have a bunch of badass kids. Be prolific with your
presentation in large numbers. But the prolific. What
does it say?
It says presentation. Present in large numbers or quantities. Plentiful, abundant, bountiful.
All right. Is that your statement or not?
My statement is what the fuck I said.
Okay.
Jay-Z,
so my
sheer volume of songs.
All right, girl, we heard you. You're repeating the same thing. I disagree. I think that somebody else needs to bring. Y'all should make multiple playlists. Somebody who loves Jay-Z, loves Michael Jackson. This is not an argument of their artistry because we all know that Jay-Z couldn't light a flame to it. But I also disagree with the catalog. That is not in my character to make playlists. I know what I would do and what I wouldn't do. Can't do that. But I think it should be another person, and it could be multiple. Maybe it'll be 5. If 5 people can prove either or for the argument, then
Jay-Z has 13 studio albums, and they all went.
All right, I need to
That's what you're not. Yeah, you need to turn a light because you're disappearing.
I need to turn on a light. It's too dark. I need to
go ahead. But Jay-Z has 13 albums. 13 of them. Studio albums. That's not including Kanye. That's not
you have to make your argument clear.
I'm just saying
about albums. Or are we talking about
that's
music?
All I'm saying. It was great. He released more shit than Michael Jackson. That's all I'm fucking saying. Why is this hard?
More albums than Michael Jackson.
He released more music than Michael Jackson, and as a result, Jay-Z has great songs on each one of those projects, so his catalog is longer. That's it. That's all I'm saying. I didn't say it's better. I don't know why it's so hard. Why is that hard? We have another voicemail. I can't deal with this.
Nobody's saying it's hard. But people just don't agree with you. I don't agree with you.
That is like numbers. I don't understand. Like, how do you not agree? It's just numbers. It's just how many did you release? How many did you release? How many songs do you have? That's all it is. That's all I'm saying. And it wasn't in comparison to Michael Jackson. I just bigged up Jay-Z for being fucking consistent. That's all I was trying to do. Like, that's incredible to release 13 studio albums, and they're all and on those albums, like none of them are like, oh, that was shit. We don't fuck with Jay-Z. He fell off. None of them. On those albums, there's like gems on every one of them. That's not even talking about his features or what he wrote. Come on. Big Joker, like Still Dre. He could throw that out there. That's all I'm saying. Like I'm just talking about his consistency. You gotta bring up Michael Jackson. And you did it again. I'm back to being mad. You gonna turn your light on? Because we got one more voicemail.
Read those patrons. Let me take a breath and I'll read those patrons.
Read the what? Hold on, I have one more voicemail. Just one more. We change the subject. She get on my nerves.
Hi, Antoinette and Shanti. My name is Rachel, a long-time listener, first-time caller. I just got through listening to the episode about Pray for Your Enemies, and I really enjoyed this conversation. Talking about empathy, I'm realizing the last 2 years I have been more empathetic to a lot of people, and it has been exhausting because there are many times when I know I'm being empathetic to somebody who I know doesn't have empathy for me, and my knee-jerk reaction is to just be like, well, fuck it. Like, you don't care about me, I don't care about you. But to make the conscious decision to try to have empathy for them, it can be emotionally draining. But I agree that the world would be a much better place if everybody just had more empathy for the folks around them. There was another point that I wanted to make in this phone call, and I really just forgot. So you might be getting a second call from me, but I just wanted to say that I did really enjoy this conversation. Oh, I do remember the second point now. I'm sorry. So I forgot what Antoinette said that made me think of this, but basically this concept that most of the people around you, like the lack of empathy that a lot of people have, and, you know, just thinking about how, okay, now I'm blanking again, but basically I came up with this theory that a lot of neurodivergent people, I don't think they're the neurodivergent people. I think people that are considered neurotypical are neurodivergent. I was in a PhD program for health policy, and oftentimes I would have conversations with my classmates and professors where I'm just like, okay, yes, I know that we are looking at the, you know, like health economy, but like, are we not taking consideration like the actual people on the other ends of these policies? And people would look at me like I had a horn growing out of my forehead. And one of my other classmates was saying, like, the reason I can think the way I do is because I'm neurodivergent. And I'm like, no, I really think that literally just looking at people as human beings and, like, recognizing the humanity in the other humans around you, that should not be considered neurodivergent. I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm rambling. I just wanted to say, again, totally enjoyed this conversation, and just keep doing your thing. Love y'all.
For folks that don't know, neurodivergent is a term for people whose brains function differently in one or more ways that is considered standard or typical. Well, that makes me sad that because she is empathetic, people told her she was neurodivergent. That kind of, oh God, it's gonna end.
Well,
but I agree.
Because she's neurodivergent, she can see things differently.
Yeah, but that makes me sad that that's where we're at. But I think listen, being empathetic is not easy. That's why it's a practice. It's not easy at all. I'm right now, I'm not being empathetic towards you and the fact that you, for whatever reason, needed to twist my words, but.
Listen, I gave you the thing to say how you felt. You did.
Okay.
You did. I just don't agree with what you're saying. That's
okay.
all. And then you get mad because I don't agree with what you're saying.
That's fine.
Anyway.
But we shouldn't even be talking about Michael Jackson with Jay-Z. But go ahead.
I think that we, just as a society, are trained to not be empathetic because we give, I guess it's capitalism. Yeah, capitalism creates values, markers of value. This person's more valuable than this person because they have a PhD, or because they don't, because they, whatever reason, because they're poor, class, so much shit makes it hard for us to be empathetic. Goes against so much of the American values, child. So maybe empathy is a form of resistance.
But it's also, and even trying to see, even in that discussion, it's also uncomfortable. Like uncomfortable in the way of like, I think sometimes when you're empathetic, you can question if you're being loyal or if you're being, like, even in the conversation about the police and the way that they killed Jaylen Walker, trying to be empathetic and see it from their point of view, which is why I added that there was a shot that came from the car and there was a loaded gun in the car and he did have a ski mask on and he was running and all that stuff. Like, it doesn't excuse it, You can try to understand it, but also when you've been just done so wrong so often, that's a really hard thing to do, especially in that, with that circumstance. And I don't want to do it. You know, like, I don't want to be empathetic in that moment. I feel very conflicted about that and humanizing them and their behavior when so often they're coming from a place where they're not acting human. So it's difficult. It's difficult to put into practice. I don't know if it's possible to always do it. But anyway, take us into, thank you for calling, everyone. If you are interested.
Yes, thank you for your remarks, responses, insights, eloquent displays of empathy. We appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
We also appreciate all of the new patrons that have joined our Patreon, in which you can see us in real life, talk our shit. Shout out to new accounts. What is this name? New accounts. Me, Old C, Joanna, Jason, Roshia, Devin, Rachel, Anna, Tiffany, and Courtney. We appreciate
Roshia
y'all.
or Roche? I don't know. Tricky.
Roche.
Probably Roche, huh?
We apologize. I apologize. Oh, he said that wrong.
Anyway, this is another long episode. Let's take a break. Shanti, can you take us out?
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Boop. 131. Show. We should just do 2 episodes a week. You want to make some extra money?
Just break this up. Just do a deep one where we talk about the topic. We go heavily into a topic. And then another one we're just kikiing and talking about politics and
it's just hard to fit it all. I think we also had a lot to say this week. I think our updates are super long sometimes too. By the time we're done updates, sometimes it's like 30 minutes. So I almost feel like we could, not that we're actually going to do 2 a week. We could, where we had one where we just rambled and there was no outline. We just talked about our updates and ourselves. Something to think about. I don't know, but this shit is getting long. And if we broke it up, we would have more ad placement. Part 1, part 2, baby. Something to think about. But go ahead.
And we are back. I've been thinking about distractions. Last week, was that when Roe v. Wade was overturned? Was it last week?
Well, that's when we were discussing.
Yeah, everybody was really, of course, rightfully upset. The news and the interwebs were ablaze. And even with this week, even thinking about, the lives that were lost with gun violence. And I was just thinking about, like, what happens to these little morsels of possible change, or these morsels of like social disruption, where there's like a collective shift of like, all right, we gotta end this shit. This shit is fucked up. We're all in agreement. And then it seems like we all go back into like some kind of slumber, or the word distraction came up for me. And that's like a very macro discussion around what distractions are. But I started thinking about my own experience with being distracted, and it kind of took me down a little rabbit hole of what I think I'm being distracted from. And of course, the main culprits come up of like, you're being distracted from being more, politically vigilant. by being numbed out by pop culture or your little shows that you watch. You're being distracted from, I don't know, being more focused in your career in some kind of way. You're being distracted from relationships because of those said career goals. Those feel like the normal culprits of distraction. And we distract ourselves in a myriad of ways around, like, I don't know, it could be food or sex or entertainment. Could be everybody has a different thing that takes hold of their attention. But I thought it'd be an important discussion to have with each other, and also have the listeners kind of tap into their own psyches of what they think they're really being distracted from and why. And those things came up for me, and what I think that list that I just gave were like my usual culprits. But then I sat a little bit deeper from it, and I think what I feel I'm actually being distracted from in my personal life is creativity, is practicing creativity. And you talked about it you brushed on it, you and I, in a personal conversation, and it really hit a chord with me, and something that I've been feeling really frustrated around in my own life, and I couldn't figure out, like, what the fuck? But it feels like there has been this complete negligence of creativity in my life. And I feel like we think creativity is like this source of, like, oh, you're going to draw, or like it's always connected to art in a way. But I feel like creativity is such a powerful life force that can be the space in which radical change can actually happen. When you have the space to, like, think up new things, where you have the energy to think of new ways, again, to disrupt the normal regimen of your life. And so I just want to talk about that a little bit more, and figure out, I think there's your priorities, and then, like, what your real priority is. And I don't want to say purpose because I don't like that word, but, like, you have your real priorities. And then I feel like you have two priorities. You have your priorities in your heart, what you think you really want to be doing. And then you have your priorities of what you're actually prioritizing. You may be thinking you're prioritizing this one thing, but then you're doing this other thing. And then there's, like, the distractions from actually making those priorities manifest, or those things actually happen in your life. So does that make sense?
Yeah, before you go on, for creativity, I would also just add that in art, I would also add that with everything that's going on in the world, right, that we sometimes do need to block out or do need to take a break from, because we have to have balance, right? Or it'll drive us crazy. Art and creativity is also a way to kind of reconcile what you're taking in and to process it. Like, oftentimes what I find with artists is that their output is deeply connected to everything that's going on around them, and it's like a processing of that, and a way for them to let it out and to figure out how they're feeling. It's like an emotional check-in with self. And it also will deeply connect folks back to, I know you hate this word, but their purpose or their priorities. A lot of folks that do it right, quote unquote right, that aren't doing it with, with a goal in mind, that are just doing it. I have a friend who is an artist, and just like you said, like the artist way, you just write, just free write, right, in the morning. He will go into his studio and he just puts his hand to the paper, or puts his hand to the canvas and just sees what comes. When he goes in with, when he goes in with like a goal, I feel like it doesn't often go well for him. But when he just puts his hand down and lets it go and releases all the things that are on his mind, the output is like, oh, and you can stand back and look at it and really reflect on it. And it feels alive in a way where you're like, oh, I see where you were going with this, or I see how you're feeling through how you drew this or how you wrote this, or so it's interesting in that way. And not everybody is, I can't put my hand to any paper and get anything, any result. It doesn't come out. Like whatever I need to reflect on or process, that's not the way I do it. I was walking down the street today when I was going for my morning walk because I'm jet lagged, and I was listening to music, and I probably look crazy, but I started like dancing a bit, and I was like, oh, that was how I did it. That was how I did it. Was like, it was the way I expressed everything I was feeling, or even my numbness sometimes would come up in that way. Singing, all those things. I was talking to another friend of mine, and he was asking me if I had a spiritual practice. And I was like, I've gotten away from it, but Sundays I used to clean and I used to sing. And that was my prayer. And it wouldn't be like spiritual songs necessarily, but it was what I did. I watered my plants. I was really present. But with all that said, it still can feel like, in even doing that, another task, another job. Okay, it's my job to process. It's my job to express. It's my job to figure out how I'm feeling. And sometimes it's your job to just fucking veg out. And I feel like it's hard to give ourselves that space. It was hard for you to give yourself, or people tried to tell you in your life that you didn't deserve the space to go on your vacation. There were other things you could have been doing. There's always other things you could be doing, but sometimes you just need to put on stranger things. And I think that it's one thing to be just checked out and willfully ignorant. It's another thing to know when you've had enough, to know when you need to take a second. And so I think deciphering that is difficult sometimes. But anyway, you're asking me about my perceived priorities versus my real priorities.
Yeah, I think I also want to make that clear for everybody, because I think that's at the heart of a lot of people's disassociation, or I don't know, whatever sadness, is that creativity is not just expressed in the traditional art forms of dancing or singing, or it's your human birthright. It's like, if there's one thing you came equipped to do in this human form, is to create something, and your experience of creativity is important. And like you said, I feel like is the gateway to processing emotions, healing, coming up with different ideas. I feel like it is the gateway to so much power that can fuel social change, social justice, whatever. It's this like small thing that can extend all the way out. But I feel, and this was my personal thing, that I feel so distracted from expressing that, from prioritizing my creativity as like, no, this is something that I cannot let fall to the wayside, because this is my lifeline. This is how I heal. This is how I, again, figure out what my quote unquote purpose is. This is how I navigate relationships, because that's where you process stuff. That's where the mundane shit, the quote unquote responsibility, is disrupted, because it's a space that you can't control, and you shouldn't. Like you said, it'll be like water. It'll be like trying to catch quicksand. If you go into like, I'm going to be creative, that's just going to just slip out of your hands. So it's like this free space that you can't control, but then you have to be committed to engaging in that free space. And I personally feel that my distraction is from fueling that and feeding that and recognizing that. And I'll put responsibility as a mother, business, TV, relationships before I ever figure out like, oh, well, what is my actual relationship with creativity? What is my practice with creativity? That's what I feel personally distracted from, is creativity. And that feels like my source of, that feels like my guide in so many ways. And that's why I feel so cut off and numb and like uninspired in all areas of my life. Like, and I keep trying to like substitute something else to find the inspiration, right? Rather than just like, no, being committed to this wild energy, like being committed to showing up to it, whatever that may be, whether it's putting on your headphones or dancing or writing or so on and so forth. So I guess I didn't pose it right. That's my example of what I feel distracted from, because my priorities are fucked up. My priority is like, I have to control something to be better at something so that I can get this release that I want, versus going into this other path where it's wild, uncomfortable for me and uncontrollable, like this creative energy that I feel so distracted and cut off from.
I think for me, the creative energy, I've always felt the pressure of having to monetize it. And so I've disassociated from it, or it gives me anxiety of like, oh, if I do sing, then I should be doing it for X. And otherwise you're a failure. Mm-hmm. If I do dance, then it should be content. How can I make content out of this? Or it should be, I need to brand myself in a way to show all that I am and all that I offer. And then I get buried in that, and I just don't. And
so your distraction would be productivity. That's what's distracting you from.
No, my distraction, I don't think it's I think it's deeper than productivity. I think it's my biggest distraction is fear, and I live in the future. And being terrified of not having the future that I want. And so in my present, I'm constantly thinking about how I can get my future to be the way I want it to be. And so that's what I'm pushing for constantly. And then it makes me question some of the decisions that I've made in my past. And so that's really what I'm realizing. My stuff is always stemming from, you're just not in the moment. You're not feeling the ground beneath you. That's why that podcast hit me so hard. And so when you're like that, you don't enjoy anything. There's no space for creativity. There's no space to enjoy a promotion, because it's not the promotion that you eventually want. You know, there's no space to enjoy the new apartment, because it's not really where you want to be in the future. This is just a launching pad. There's no space to just be. And so I think I distract myself. I think my biggest thing is I don't know how to be any other way, because I do feel like I have a purpose. I am connected to it, and I need to let it guide me instead of like kind of torment me. But my creativity, because I'm a trained artist in many ways, a trained actor, trained vocalist, trained dancer, you either do it and it's great and it's perfection, or you don't do it at all.
No,
but that's what you're taught. There's so many, that's why training can kill the artist.
No, talk about it.
It just gets in the way. Talk about
it, nah.
When you put the rules and regulations on it, it kills it. And so I've been, it's crazy that this is the topic, because I've been exploring and writing outlines on what that person wrote or said in a voicemail. What did they say? They said radical self-acceptance. And I was like, what can I do around this? Whether it's me just singing and putting it out and just doing it for me. Just doing it to do it. I like this song,
just getting those juices going.
Yeah. Or just dancing, flowing. It might not be perfect, but just doing it. What would that mean? And what would it mean to do it publicly and not need it to pop off or do anything, but just as an invitation of like, yo, we can all do this. Not everything has to be based in productivity, or not everything has to be based in perfection. But it's funny, when I looked at this outline, the first thing I thought about distractions was how you distract yourself from the things that you should be prioritizing to get to where you want to be. That's how I read that.
But that's what I was saying. That's the shit, because it's never about that. What's the saying? It's either love or fear. There's only two choices in life. It's either love or fear. So all your decision making.
I've never heard that.
Yeah, you have two choices in life. You come from two places, but your decisions are made from two places, love or fear. And I think the deeper part, because that's what I was saying. Like, I was thinking about what my distractions are, and it was like, well, I'm distracted from, getting this, that, and the third for the podcast, or doing this thing from that. And I was like, no, what you're really distracted from is like facing your creative energy, which is far more generative and is the fuel for those things. But if you're just trying to like chisel away if you're just trying to get in the car and be like, I'm trying to get to this place, and you're just pedaling that motherfucker with your feet like a Flintstone, like, that's not sustainable. You need to go put some gas in. And I feel like creativity is the generative thing. That is the thing that fuels whatever productivity you're trying to do. But I think that it gets tricky there, because it's like, then you do this performance thing of like, or you're caught in this reward thing of like, well, if I be creative, then I'll be secure. Even if I'm creative, then that's going to make me feel secure. And it's like, no, you're not actually surrendering and like practicing real creativity if it's just a means to satisfy or like relieve you of whatever that deeper fear is, if that makes any sense.
So then how do we make this pragmatic? How do we make this pragmatic? How do we get this to be practical?
I think you have to reprioritize. I think we all have to realize, like, my priorities are fucked up. Artsy Boy says that all the time. It's like, my priorities are fucked up. And it's true. I think our priorities are fucked up. Toni Morrison, I was looking at this quote that she wrote. She said, Toni Morrison said that success will never substitute for comfort, friends, and love, and doing something you respect. She says, but for me, success is not a public thing. It's a private thing. It's when you have fewer and fewer regrets. So it feels like it feels like a priority of freedom in some kind of way.
I was going to say, it sounds like freedom. It sounds like Nina Simone talking about what her
it sounds like a space where it's like you're constant, and it's a constant practice that you're called to do, because I think we are always being asked to be distracted by our fears, by our worries, by status, by money, by security. But if you're clear on what your priorities really are, if like your meditation is like, yo, I want to be in my body. Like that's the top priority for me, is to be in my body so I can sink into my heart, so that like I'm moving from a different place. Then you treat that you treat it like a priority. And I made some pragmatic lists. I think once you redirect what your priorities are, you're honest about what your real priorities are, and you're like, oh, this is working for me, or you're like, oh, my priorities are fucked up, I want to change, then you kind of like have to do the practice of remembering and recommitting. And that's like a daily thing. It's a daily commitment. And I wrote down prayer, therapy, writing.
Those are creative.
Finding some type of like,
to you?
some creative practice that you do, whether it be, I love mopping the floor and listening to music, like you said. I love it. I love cooking on a Sunday and just being in the house all day and like burning incense and opening my windows and hearing the kids play in the playground. Like that is.
So you see that as creativity?
I do. I see it as I feel like creativity is a ripe space. It's an open space. It's not a closed fist. It's open. It's not necessarily about what you produce. Mm-hmm. 9 times out of 10, it shouldn't be about what you produce, because if it is, then you're feeding something else. Mm-hmm. You're just performing creativity, but you're not there. So, and it's uncomfortable because what comes up for you, or what comes up for me, is all of the fear, is all of the self-doubt, is all of the
why
the words that, because if I'm like doing, for instance, the morning pages, it's been really hard for me to write 3 pages. Like this morning, I woke up, I had to get JoJo to camp, I had to make sure she had lunch. I had another errand I needed to run, so there was this decision that I had to make. And my first inclination was to be like, I'm not doing those morning pages. That's not a priority to me. My priority is my responsibility as a mother, or my priority is, and so I didn't even give myself the time. I had already pre-decided that the night before that I didn't wake up a half an hour. It takes a half an hour. It could have taken 15 minutes.
So that's
not my priority.
It was the night before when you were thinking.
Say that again?
That wasn't in the moment that you thought that. It was the night before when you saw what you needed to accomplish and you were like, I'm not about to make time and space for that.
I decided it wasn't a real priority for me. My daughter is a priority before me.
So making
sure she's fed and her food was a priority for me.
Because getting her to camp and making sure she has lunch, they're all real. Like you have to do it, right?
Those are real. So I would have woken up a little bit earlier, or I would have sat down. I would have sat down and given myself 15 minutes to write. And I did. I had 15 minutes. I had 20 minutes. I wouldn't wake up late. I woke up at 6:30. I had time. But it's so out of my, it's not my real priority.
So when you woke up, I'm really trying, this is helping me. I'm serious. When you woke up, you had time to do but what did you choose to do instead?
I did everything that I was supposed to do. I woke up.
But see, that's my thing, that's what I'm trying to understand. Is it for folks?
I still had time to do it, but it was just a decision not to do it. I can't sit here and say, oh, I had 15 minutes to do it. I wasn't late. But I just woke up. I did, posted the little thing on Instagram for Sable. I got her clothes, made sure she was awake. I did my lunch, made her lunch. I took a shower. I put on my makeup. I kind of did an internal thing of like, should I do these pages? But then the other voice was like, no, you don't have time to do those pages. You don't have time to do those pages. And I was like, all right, I don't have time to do those pages. So then I busied myself with God knows what. Who knows what? I just didn't do it. I just didn't do it.
I think that's what I'm trying to get at is like for people who are like, I actually don't have time, and trying to understand like how do you shift? Because I don't have a child. So like
you would have to wake up early. You would make time. It's your priority, right? Like what is your real priority? Because it's like, oh, we have to go to work because we want to create a future for ourselves in which we have ease. Mm-hmm. Like there's this idea that we have in our mind that the future has ease if we work hard. So we endure, and we're not in practice of trying to find ease in our daily moments, which it is there. It is there. It's available to us. It is it is a real experience that is at our fingertips, but we keep thinking like, when I do this thing, then I'll find the ease. When I do this thing, then I can find the ease. But we're not, it's like saying like, oh, in the future, I'm going to run a 10K marathon, but I gotta buy my shorts. I gotta get my sneakers together. I gotta sign up for the thing. But in the future, I'm run the 10K marathon. Nigga, you can't run no 10K marathon in the future. You're not practiced. What makes you think once you have all of these ideas of security, you're going to have any ease? You don't know what ease is. You don't know what it is. And it's not through material things. And that fucks your head up.
Well, I think that you hit the nail on the head when you're saying that that there's ease in our daily lives, that we don't even know how to identify it or find it or make space for it. But I think we would be dishonest to say that having more resources and having more access and money doesn't provide a certain level of ease and comfort. Now, to get there, you might have just run yourself over the fucking railroad tracks to try to get there. But I mean,
it can. It doesn't guarantee it. It doesn't guarantee it.
No, I don't think it guarantees it. What money does guarantee is access to certain things, though, that might help. You might be able to have somebody come in and clean your house, or you might be able to have somebody make JoJo's lunch or X, Y. Like, there's just all of these. It's just help that you can. It's tricky.
That doesn't quell whatever. That doesn't quell whatever internal thing I'm
no,
talking
I don't
about.
think it
that
does.
like revs you. That makes you rev up. Like rich people got mad shit in there.
I'm not saying that at all. I think that's the thing that's tricky is that I know it doesn't quell it, but that's the reason why. It doesn't quell the internal things that you're dealing with, but it can make other things easier in your life. It can provide you with a certain lifestyle that is easier.
Absolutely.
But then it also, in order to get there, feels like it's also stealing your creativity.
It's stealing your
there you are.
Connection with yourself.
Like, how do I, unless you're really lucky. And even when you are really lucky, and again, you're kind of using your creativity to finance your lifestyle, there's a whole other set of...
Oh, that's a whole other... You're still on a rat race. It's still a rat race in some way.
It's difficult. So that's why I'm always like, well, how do we make this practical? Because I don't want to set people up to feel like, the money and trying to, I don't know, climb up the ladder and get the promotion and do this. They're all very real things that people are doing that for very real reasons. So where's the balance? Duality is a thing. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you were like, I could have done it. I could have found the ease in my day. I could have created space for the creativity to fuel me through the rest of my, quote unquote, priorities and responsibilities. But priorities and responsibilities are real and they're annoying.
Your priorities and responsibilities can be done with a grimace, or they can be done with a smile. I'm not saying that you deny yourself of doing those things and you just go and live in la la land. My thing is about the state in which you are living and showing up for yourself and others in this world. And I think a lot of us are moving from a really unexplored space. And I think that if we have like creative practices, or we prioritize our self-care. I hate that word, but if we prioritize, I'm going to say creativity instead of self-care because that feels more specific to me. Then I think it brings substance to the priorities and can even completely shift our sense of what our responsibilities and priorities are. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't want you to think I'm not offering a rebuttal to anything that you're saying. I think I'm agreeing with you. I'm just stating, it's also stating that like, as we figure out how to prioritize our creativity and prioritize our freedom and make it all, how do we make it all work with the very real priorities that we all have and responsibilities that we all have as well. It's like, all right, well, I dig what you're saying. How do we put it into practice for the everyday person, Joe Schmo, who working day and night, baby. Bring up Michael Jackson, like it's interesting. But you're right, there is time. There's time.
I think eventually, we all at some point in our lives realize we have no choice but to do that. Like it comes to a point. I'll only speak for myself. I think my internal life, my world, my sense of how I want to live and move. Yeah, I don't have a choice. Like all these other responsibilities and priorities have to be completely disrupted. I don't have a choice. Like it has to happen because I can't keep moving the same way. I can't keep moving feeling hollowed out. It's not a matter of convenience. It's like I don't have a choice. For me. And for some people they don't feel conflicted. It feels like something that you choose. But for me it's like, no, I have to feed this thing. And it's uncomfortable. That's the other thing. It's like prepare to sit with the discomfort and the uncertainty of it all, I think is the hardest part for people. It's like, well, what is the product going to be? What are we doing this for? How long does it take? And then the boundaries that have to come with that too. Of like, JoJo, make your own motherfucking lunch. And if you ain't make your lunch in time, you ain't eating. Because mommy has to do this. I need to do this. This is really important to me. Or whatever boundaries people need to make those things happen. And again, to be consistent. I think with anything that we do, we have to be consistent, which is a pain in my ass. But consistency does shit. It makes things change. Anyway, girl. Whew. Long episode. Did it get funnier and fun? Nope. Sorry.
I can't. You argued a little bit. Maybe that was entertaining.
Only fun and happiness came from our listeners. Thank you so much for your bursts of warmth.
Do you happen to have an affirmation for this?
I don't.
Damn, shorty.
I wish I had one. I'm gonna think of one.
Get creative.
Maybe writing tomorrow. I'll just write down a whole bunch of around the way girl affirmations. Niggas ain't shit but hoes and tricks.
No, that's not true.
That's not nice.
All right, well, you have just heard another episode of Around the Way Girls. I don't know if you got any answers.
I don't. It's all uncertainty. This life is just managing uncertainty to the best of our abilities. That's all it is. Fuck.
Ooh, that just ignited my fear and my need to control all things and all outcomes and be the best version of myself so I can say I'm in control, god darn it. Ooh, ciao, the ghetto. Don't be like that. That's the affirmation. Don't be like this, y'all. That's the affirmation.
Well, either one of us. It's somewhere in the middle. Y'all niggas gotta find somewhere in the middle.
I'm gonna say affirmation. All I want is for Shanti to get this ring light she been telling me she gonna buy for the past 2 months. Just go. I don't understand. Just replace the ring light that broke.
I said every time I sit down and record, I'm like,
I was watching you get darker and darker as the sun went down, and it was making. I wanted to laugh because I'm getting darker too, and I'm traveling. That's why I don't have my ring light. But you can still see me better than you. I said, "Girl,
go enjoy your vacation. I'm gonna order this. I promise y'all, I'm gonna order it. By
right
next
now.
one, it's gonna be shining, shining, shining.
And they're like $50. Don't order nothing more than $50. I don't want to see nothing that's like $200. I will dispute this.
I'm
charge.
just a different person. Somehow I got like plastic surgery.
I'm like somebody got Botox. I'm like somebody stole the around the way curls. No, that person. Lock her up. All right, Sheila. Well, please take care of my cat. Make sure she's good. Tell her that mommy loves her so much. Feel free to post videos of her on Instagram because you know she's the best cat in the world. Like
Jojo just knows hood rat cats. She was inspecting her paws. She was like, her paws are so pink and soft. My other cats are rough and black. I was like, Jojo, because that cat has never stepped foot on cement a day in her life, okay? Cat does not know what grass feels like.
The only time she hit cement was when I fell with her, and her paws ain't never touch it. When my drunk ass had her in that cage.
Paws is softer than my skin. She got flawless paws. Jojo's like, they're very pink.
See her
and
nails?
soft.
I cut her nails before she came with you, rather.
She does it too. Jojo says she sits like this.
She does. She crosses her arms. She crosses her legs or feet or whatever. She's precious. And nothing makes me, to all the listeners, nothing makes me happier than when I post the clips and you guys go, Blue. I'm like, I love her.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is a good episode still. Maybe.
Yes.
We'll see. All right, y'all. Good talk. We'll try to lighten it up for next week. And yeah, with that, we are.
Oh.
What were you saying? You taking us to a break?
Yeah, I was looking at something else. I'm done.
With that, we are out. Not 2:11. All right, we might need to. I don't know.
Send that to me.
The fact that these clips are starting to get annoying. We can't even lie. I gotta send you all these voicemails too. I can hear Renee in there shuffling about. I need you to check on her.
What y'all gonna do? Go get?
I don't know, but I gave her an edible. She's been tired. I gave her a piece of an edible yesterday, and she's been fucked up ever since.
Really?
She's like, oh my God, I just feel so groggy. Oh my God, what is that? She needed to come down yesterday, though. I was like, girl, I'm tired. Here, take this. Shh.
She came in high boots. She's
boots.
traveling the world.
Hey, class, Lynn. I was like, good night. Girl, good night.
Oh, I said hello.
Oh, Renee! Are you dressed? Are you dressed? Shanti wants to say hi.
Hello there.
Hello there. She can hear you.
I can't see your face. It's all blurry.
Why is it blurry? It's not. It's not blurry on our end.
Well, it's because you know how it is. How are you?
I'm good, girl. We've been in here trying to get my life together. I just got back from Essence Fest.
How was it?
I know. I'm trying to eat the leftover dumplings I had yesterday. I was enjoying a little bite. But yeah, I've got no voice, no energy.
I'm about to
rest yourself.
Nothing.
Or we can not do anything, or I can help you tomorrow. I don't care. I told you not to feel like you gotta do anything with me.
I don't, Antoinette.
All right, as long as you
don't.
Are
you gonna take? Where's that hiking place? Did you find that one hiking joint where you can see Hollywood sign? Where's that called?
You mentioned something about seeing Hollywood sign.
What's it called?
I mean, there's a few I feel like you can see. I think Fryman's, you can see it from Fryman's. I think you might be able to see it from Baldwin Hills, depending on which side you're on. I could look it up, though. I think there's a few spots that you can. I was going to take Antoinette on a 6-hour bike ride, but I don't know if she really wants to do that.
I already said I did. I don't know why you...
Tonight you gonna do it? I'm exhausted even thinking about that.
Not
Did you
today.
give her a tour of the house?
No.
No.
I'll give you a tour in the house on the phone because her internet.
It could be my internet, maybe. I don't know.
No, because it's clear on our side.
Yeah.
No, that's because when it's clear on the one person, that's just the way the
It's clear on
Riverside
both
works.
sides over here, though, Sheila.
Well, your internet. It said your internet was bad, so
Oh, wow.
Wow, all
for
right.
the first time, the purple thing came up and said,
We don't deserve this kind of treatment.
"Sorry."
I'll show you the
Cute
house.
setup, though.
Do you like it?
I do.
Riverside.
Yeah, I just requested an accent chair for over there.
From where?
Ashley Furniture.
Oh.
Where's the penny big? Yeah, I'm gonna have to put Antoinette to work, unfortunately.
"What are you doing? Wallpaper?"
She's gonna no. Oh, that'd be so much. She's gonna help me unbox furniture.
Oh, are you doing
Oh,
that now?
that's her kink.
No, we can do that in the morning.
You said that's my kink. Shut
She's
up.
really good at that kind of stuff.
She likes that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you haven't seen my new place. It's very different from the last one.
Yeah.
It looks very nice.
Are you sure? That's not the one you moved recently?
Yeah, you haven't been there.
Oh, okay. Oh, I would love an invitation.
You have an open invitation for
Oh my
everything
gosh,
that I
let me
do.
pack my bags, Mom.
All
I
right,
need to show you Daddy first to buy the sheet, the flight.
girl. Because I'm just...
Buy a flight.
All right. Well, the Jeeva's awake. Are we gonna order food though?
We didn't eat since the morning.
You're not gonna eat?
No, I'm gonna have some too, but I'm not hungry just yet. What's going on? No,
Whatever that is, that looks so spicy.
It is fancy.
Oh, your butt be hurting.
All right, Queen.
All right, I'll talk to you, Sheila. I'll send this to you now.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Have fun.
Will do.
Thanks. Those are clean my house.
What do I do? I forgot how to do this now.
What?
How do I do this again?
Do what?
Turn this off without it losing it.
Did it say that all your things uploaded?
You're still recording.
Oh my God. Hold on. Stop.